Welcome, everybody. This is Tom Telementes of Technology Solution Consultants, TSC, and welcome to our webinar in our Explore OnBase series. Today, we're going to talk about OnBase integration for Salesforce, and this is an exciting topic because we have, the premier CRM and the premier ECM technologies, these two platforms that bring a lot of value to the market, but together it's really dynamic. So today we want to show you what's possible there. And we have Colleen Albert from Hyland Software, Product Evangelist, who's going to be doing the presentation today. So there you see Colleen in the middle, and of course Heather Heath is our marketing coordinator. So many of you have probably talked to her, but we're really excited about this integration, and we're going to show you some new things. If you attended our webinar earlier this year on this topic, then you'll notice some new things in development that we hinted to back then. So I'd like to introduce Colleen, and let's get going.
All right, thank you so much, Tom, and welcome everyone. I'm thrilled to be here to share with you a general overview of the OnBase integration for Salesforce, as well as what's new in our most latest release, which is OnBase Foundation EP5, and then of course the latest, which is OnBase Foundation 22.1. We welcome your questions throughout this session. I invite you to type them into the chat. I will answer as many live as I possibly can. If it's something pretty specific to your implementation or solution, of course, TSC as well as myself would be happy to meet with you offline as well to talk about how we can bring together the best of both worlds, Salesforce and OnBase, and get that best of breed CRM right alongside the best of breed ECM or content services platform as we affectionately know it, to create a solution that will work for you. So let's start at the top. What we here at Hyland are hearing from our customers in all verticals is this: we're centering our business around our customer, our constituent, our patient, our student, which means that our operation works primarily in Salesforce, and we need apps integrated to Salesforce. It's no secret that Salesforce is the #1 customer relationship management platform in the world. In fact, they have roughly 40,000 employees, which is pretty incredible from a company that started in 1999 in a 1-bedroom flat, the age-old technology story. They're born in the cloud. They have over 150,000 customers, which means that they have more market share than their top 3 closest competitors combined. But the age of the customer is the age that we are living in. And as much as we can provide those internal employees servicing that customer with a complete view of all of the information they need to get their jobs done, we're going to have happier customers. So you're most likely using Salesforce in some capacity, or you wouldn't be here. And you're probably also using our content management platform, which is OnBase. And OnBase, of course, is the lifeblood of driving content throughout your organization. Not only does it provide the storage all the way through the retention, but it provides that very critical routing and decision making and serving of documents and information to those that need it. And we all know the challenges of multiple disparate, disconnected applications, which make it difficult to get a complete view of the customer. Information is siloed. There's some of it in Salesforce and some of it in OnBase, which means that users are switching between applications, which is obviously inefficient. Business decisions can then be difficult. If I have a new piece of content, where do I put it? Salesforce, OnBase, that indexing can be manual, prone to human error. And while you could develop a custom integration between these two best of breed enterprise class platforms, that can be labor intensive, cost prohibitive, months to implement. And then of course, if that developer leaves the organization, you're left in a little bit of a lurch. So what we're going to talk about today is the solution of our point or purpose-built integration between OnBase and Salesforce. I'll start briefly with a solution overview. I'll show you some software, talk about what's new and where we're headed, and then we'll round out with some information resources, and we will be done at this juncture in 25 minutes or less. So we value your time and are excited to share this information and grateful that you're here with us today. So the OnBase integration for Salesforce really is a story of better together, a lot like chocolate and peanut butter two very different applications that come together to create this unique purpose-built solution. And in fact, this integration provides what I would call, as a little bit more of a casual user, the perfect amount of content services capabilities for Salesforce users. Capabilities regarding content that Salesforce, being so data-driven, just does not have. In the most simplest sense, directly from a Salesforce screen, Salesforce users can import and access content stored in the OnBase content services platform directly from their Salesforce screens without ever leaving the Salesforce application. So embedded into that Salesforce record is an OnBase interface, but that end user would never know that it is OnBase there behind the scenes. That's how seamlessly built it is. We provide directly from the Salesforce screen the ability to import and automatically index content into OnBase directly from Salesforce, and I'll show you how that's done. We also provide the ability from my Salesforce account record. I'm looking at the account for my customer or my vendor or my constituent, the ability to access related documents and decisions and data from OnBase served up through Salesforce, but probably more importantly, the ability to take action on those documents. I'm not just looking at a document, of course that's valuable, but I might also want to push it forward in the process, and I can execute, for those of you that speak OnBase, those workflow ad hoc tasks. And all of the configuration is done directly from the Salesforce screens. My mapping of what documents from OnBase should appear on this screen and what data objects or fields from Salesforce should be used to populate those keyword values as I import something into OnBase. All of that configuration and mapping to make it happen are done directly from Salesforce. Of course, the first two, the import and index and the access and action, are for the end user. That configuration is for the administrator. And this is an integration that is easy to administer. It's modern, it's responsive, it's reusable, it's a rich integration, and it's quite frankly what our customers have been asking for the past few years. We released this with OnBase Foundation EP2 and have gone gangbusters enhancing it ever since. So let's take a look at some of the software screens. So here I am in Salesforce, and I'm looking at my account record for Plain Orange Plastics. And what you're looking at here is an embedded retrieval screen. Again, in OnBase lingo, this is really just a custom query. So it's almost like we're searching OnBase for related content without the user having to enter any search words or phrases. This integration is already, if you will, entering Plain Orange Plastics, this type of document, maybe even over this date range, and OnBase is automatically pulling back the corresponding related documents. You can sort and filter, you can reorganize these columns in a way that makes sense. You see the filter bar in the middle. You can search the entirety of this list. You can toggle the document types that are displayed, and you can even import directly from this screen as well. Once you find the document that you're looking for, and again, this is all happening without ever leaving Salesforce, I've got a built-in viewer directly in Salesforce where I can view the document and I can view all of those keywords that go with it. And that's my OnBase metadata, which is what is necessary for retrieval, for routing, for retention, for revisions, and for restriction, which is security. I can zoom in on this document, jump to pages, fit the content to width, rotate, and our content viewer provides the ability to work with any file format without additional downloads or third-party software, which is sometimes required of Salesforce standalone. So some of you might be on the line wondering, why would I store this document in OnBase and not just store it in Salesforce itself? And there's a couple different answers to that, or reasons. The first is Salesforce charges for the storage of documents. Many of the customers that we spoke to said that most of their Salesforce fees were actually related to the storage of the documents they were storing in the Salesforce cloud, bloating that database. They're paying for that storage, where from the OnBase or Hyland perspective, we don't store or charge per document for those storage fees. Most importantly, though, let's say price is not a factor for you, and you're lucky in that regard. The other benefit is that if you store this document in Salesforce, it's now siloed to only that Salesforce screen. Whereas maybe I need this contract to serve or this invoice to serve multiple other employees and facets of my organization. Now, if I store my invoice once in OnBase, that can not only serve my Salesforce application, but also my Workday application. My users can access it regardless of where they are. And OnBase then becomes that back-end hub to all the spokes of these front-end facing systems. But that doesn't mean that you can't import directly from Salesforce. I might be working with a record, get some additional documentation that belongs as part of this case or file or record of information. Our integrated import interface easily captures the documents by allowing users to drag and drop or to browse. You can do multiple documents at once, you can combine documents, you can split them up, and we can extract from this Salesforce record data that will populate our keyword panel over on the right-hand side. And so this document is automatically indexed into the system. And to kind of piggyback onto my previous point, not only is this document now associated with the plain orange plastics record here in Salesforce, but it also moves into OnBase, where a really robust workflow engine can handle the business process that may go with this file. So now it's, living its life in OnBase and serving other applications and people that may need it beyond its association with this record in Salesforce. And I talked about not only access, but also the ability to take action and execute an ad hoc task on a document. We bring the workflow processing, the engine that is taking place in OnBase, we bring that interface into Salesforce so that the user never has to leave the Salesforce screen to interface with the document as part of that workflow process. And then lastly, we do support Salesforce Mobile. So if you've got the Salesforce One app on your phone in your back pocket, like I do for our internal Hyland CRM, you can pull up not only the data about the company or the account, but also all related documents stored in OnBase, surfaced here, as well as the keywords, as well as those workflow queues to which a document for this account may reside. So you can see where there are some outstanding decisions that might need to be made. Users can also capture documents from the Salesforce mobile app and index them and import them into OnBase, just as we saw on the desktop-based version as well. So mobile capture and that device camera integration, really powerful. This was new in EP5. And then lastly, from our demo perspective, I'll round out with our unified configuration here, located in Salesforce, where you're mapping the Salesforce objects and to OnBase concepts. And this helps to simplify that initial deployment as well as ongoing maintenance. And it really does tightly couple these two applications. So here we are looking at an import screen, and this is where you'll say, okay, for my invoice total keyword, I want to grab the value from here. Maybe I want the user to enter it. Maybe I want to make it a literal value. It's always got the same static keyword value, or maybe I'm actually going to map it to a Salesforce field and eliminate that indexing. So all of this type of mapping is done right here from Salesforce, and the view or the access piece is configured in that same way. What custom queries, what document types, what search parameters do I want as part of Salesforce? So what little piece of my OnBase do I want to personalize for these Salesforce users? So we saw that complete view, and the complete view is key. The more that internal Salesforce user or external Salesforce user is able to access the complete view of everything they need, their life gets better, they're happier, they're making better decisions, that's less phone calls and more self-service. They've got access to the related documents, they can upload or capture content. We've got great stories of customers using Salesforce's external community cloud as the portal or the gateway to the outside external vendors and customers, while their internal people have the full-blown Salesforce, but both are able to see the status of their documents in OnBase and potentially make decisions and upload new content. And of course, we're supporting Salesforce Mobile, and we've got that flexible administration. And the nice thing is that all of the Salesforce screens that you see are built to look and feel like Salesforce, and our little components, the way I showed them, was really just one example. Those pieces can fit in a variety of ways, as a new tab, as like a little iframe on a page. Any visual force object is really your playground from an administrative perspective. And not just standard Salesforce CRM, but the entirety of the Salesforce ecosystem is a candidate for integration. So you may be in the public sector using Salesforce's government cloud or education cloud, or you're in healthcare working with their health cloud. Our integration can interface directly into these vertical specific components and applications, not only that Salesforce themselves are creating, but also that the thousands of vendors that they work with, we can integrate with those as well. The App Exchange, if you're not familiar, is the #1 business app marketplace in the world, and it is customized for Salesforce. It's trusted, it's secure, they've got peer reviews. To be on the Salesforce App Exchange, as we are, as Hyland is, it's a very extensive vetting process to ensure that you have tightly and properly integrated your application as an extension or integration with Salesforce. So while it's important to remember that we have, of course, built an integration with Salesforce itself, we've actually built an integration into potentially all 3,000 plus managed applications that live on the Salesforce.com platform. So organizations like Financial Force or Basic Gov or Encino or Swim, EDU, these are all applications that have a niche in whatever vertical industry or application they're intending to serve. And we can bring OnBase in right alongside these point applications and better them, because we're complementing them with the documents and the decisions that go with the data that they're displaying. So next we'll move to our product roadmap. So let's take a look. We first released in December of 2019 after hearing from our customers how critical purpose-built application integration for Salesforce was. Prior to that, there were some custom integrations, which certainly met the need at the time, but having something vetted on the Salesforce App Exchange is certainly preferable by Salesforce administrators everywhere. In 2021, we added support for our own internal Hyland Cloud, and last September, as you saw, we added support for workflow as well as for the Salesforce mobile app with the release of OnBase Foundation EP5. Coming soon, and I have to give this disclaimer that these items have not yet been released, even though we are right on the heels of releasing them, a couple things that are to come. The two that we'll see most recently, and these will be in conjunction with OnBase Foundation 22.1, are our document migration utility, as well as print and download features. And I think that first one on there is probably the most important, and that kind of nods back to the higher cost of Salesforce stored documents and being able to migrate them into OnBase while keeping that link or that connection between the Salesforce object to which they are currently associated. Beyond that, we'll start to see more rich content features, video integration, better support for the Salesforce Community Cloud, workview objects and Unity forms presented in different ways within Salesforce, more explicit support. You can certainly put a link to an object or to a form to be completed within a Salesforce screen today, but we'll really build these features more tightly into our integration, as well as the ability to re-index a document from Salesforce into OnBase. But the two that we'll see hopefully by the end of this year, 2022, that will coincide with OnBase Foundation 22.1. And the only reason they weren't with 22.1 is that Salesforce integration is almost on its own release cadence, but it will correspond back to our OnBase release. This attachment migration or document migration is a big feature. Again, that huge value in terms of direct costs, the Salesforce storage fees that will be saved, and the eliminating the risk of the siloing of content that we talked about earlier, where unless you're in Salesforce, you can't access it because it's only stored there. The other one is the print and download, which I didn't talk much about yet, but it's the ability to print an OnBase document from the integration screen utilizing the browser settings and the ability to download the documents to your local file system based on security access. So some nice, came from our customer base. Of course, part of me thinks, do you really want to print something? You know, aren't we making all these strides to be electronic? But there are needs and use cases, and sometimes we are printing electronically. So those will be supported here shortly. And I'll leave you with this. Any questions, of course, feel free to type them in, but we'll round out with some information resources. The first is that we are part of the App Exchange. You can find Hyland on the Salesforce App Exchange. We have a page out there, of course, just searching for Hyland or OnBase, you'll bring it up. It gives a nice little overview video. You get to see a little bit more software, some of the features, a nice description, watching that demo, and then clicking that Get It Now directly from the Salesforce side of things will actually connect you over with Hyland as well, and both Salesforce and Hyland will be engaged to get you the integration components that you need. From an Hyland perspective, of course, visit us on Community. We've got an integration for Salesforce page. This is where you can ask and get responses directly to any questions that you might have about the integration, as well as more resources, demo videos, screenshots, presentations like this one, a module reference guide, FAQ, etc. If you like to play around with the integration, that's where I'll invite you to go to try.hyland. This is where you can experience the software for yourself and play around with a mock Salesforce OnBase environment. Take a look behind the scenes of the configuration, as well as what is it like to import a document through Salesforce into OnBase or to access related content. So you can really try before you buy with try.hyland. And with that, I'll see if there are any questions. We'll give it just a minute for any questions to come in. And then if not, I've got a few of my own FAQs that I sometimes hear that may resonate with some of you on the line. So here's a few that I have. The first one is, what does the licensing and the pricing look like? If you are an OnBase customer, there are no additional OnBase licenses required other than our integration for Salesforce, which is a per year, per named user license. And you can see the outline of that here from a Salesforce perspective. We'll work with whatever version of Salesforce you've got. From an OnBase perspective, we're looking at OnBase EP2 or greater, so you do need to be on that foundation release in order to take advantage of this. And while there's no cost associated with these new technologies, you will need to implement the Hyland IDP as well as the API server. From a Salesforce perspective, we don't care if you're using Lightning or Classic, standard or custom objects, standard Salesforce CRM or third-party applications. We can integrate with all of it and are excited to do so and have enjoyed seeing the creative ways in which our customers have brought OnBase content into those Salesforce screens. So what have we seen here today? Hopefully you've seen how we've solved for those disconnected systems, how we really are in a situation of better together. We can save some of those Salesforce storage fees and siloing and take advantage of the OnBase features, content features that Salesforce just doesn't have. Some of the rich features for revisions and records management and routing via workflow and retention, all of which OnBase does so beautifully and so well. We've got that central storage, complete view, and ways to just make the lives of users who are searching and importing content easier. We have focused today on the Hyland OnBase integration for Salesforce, but you may be using one of our other content services platforms, of which we have a robust integration for each of Perceptive Content, Alfresco, and Nuxio as well. With that, hopefully I have given you just a taste of what, and gotten you excited about our OnBase integration for Salesforce. It's certainly in all my years at Hyland, one of the most popular integrations I have seen to date, and it's been a lot of fun to witness many of the use cases that have brought these two worlds together. So with that, Tom, I will hand the microphone back over to you to close us out.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, Colleen. This was super exciting. Two wonderful platforms that bring so much value to the business world and business process, and really excited to see this integration go so much deeper. Looking forward to what we're going to be able to do with WorkView and annotations and everything that you showed there. So really, really cool stuff. So thank you for that. We thank everyone for attending. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. You can also email sales@tsc-ecm.com. If you attended today or registered to attend, you will get a video recording of today. And quickly, what you're seeing now is OnBase Managed Services brought to you by TSC. And what this is a service that TSC offers to allow us to come alongside you and provide tier 1 or tier 2 support or development for your OnBase system. If you need roadmap planning and you're not working with another partner, those are things that we can help you with. And if you want to learn more about the integration today or how OnBase as a platform will integrate with Salesforce and all your systems, we can do that as well. But that's largely TSC Managed Services, and you can reach out to us for more questions and pricing about that. And you'll see on the screen there, our next webinar will be in April. We will have one in April, but January 19th. And heather.heath@tsc.com, you can email her any topics you want to see us present in the coming year. But we thank everybody who's attended this year. We are going to rest in December and enjoy the holidays, but we will be back in January for more exploring OnBase, and we appreciate the tremendous support we've had from everybody this year. And I know quite a few of you attended multiple of our webinars. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday season, and we'll see you next year.
Thanks, everybody.